Okay, so Chazara from yesterday. What daf was it? Kuf, right? So Kuf.
Kuf Amud base at the Mishnah.
There's a lot. There were
By
a lot of
the Gemara.
A lot of different inyanim on yesterday's daf. Wow. Nuts on top of water is considered. Is that? Yeah. Nuts on the.
First on your what's it called? It said read more. To click on read more, I almost missed it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I don't know. There's a lot of mishnayos. So we said the nuts on top of water is considered its resting place. And question on if the nut is in the kli and then the kli is resting on the water. So is that considered picking it up from a makam of akira? Oil on top of wine, right? We had a machlokes whether that's considered from its resting place. If you put a mat in an 8 tefach wide hole, so now you split the hole into 2 to 4 and 4, and it doesn't have a shear. So then, what's the story with that? That's a machlokes also. Water doesn't fill up a hole, and therefore we look at the water in the hole as if the hole is all the way to the bottom. But fruits will fill up a hole, right? And then throwing the water from the water to a road and back and forth. That's a karmelis to Rosh Hashanah. That's also okay. Then the Mishnah says throwing something against the wall above 10 tefachim and then below 10 tefachim. Then the Gemara says Mishnah talking about a sticky fig. I wrote fog. Okay, that sticks to the wall. Throwing an object. Where I just lost it. Throwing an object comes to rest inside a hole in the wall. We said chaykik and lahashlam. That was a machlokes. And then a steep hill is considered a wall. That was what Rabbi Shua Marchuk nicely showed us. That steep wall is part of our Erev. Then another Mishnah, throwing something inside 4 amas and it goes outside of 4 amas, and in the opposite case. And then what it says talking about where the wind held it up for a little bit outside of the 4 amas. And the Rabbanon who don't say the kluta will agree that if it goes within 3 amas, meaning when you throw from Rishus Ram in the middle, if it's less than 3 amas, then that's considered like it's rested on the ground, but it also has to pause a little bit. Then on the base, we have the Mishnah throwing 4 amas in the water is potter, and then the puddle in the water Rishus Harabim. And we said it twice, why we need 2 cases. Then we had the Mishnah, which we had just started, throwing from a boat to the water and vice versa, and from one boat to another boat is potter, and if the boats are tied up, you can carry between the 2 of them. Fine. Okay, so that was the Mishnah, right? On Kuf Amud Beis. I guess let's just read the Mishnah again quickly just to get the Hazarik min hayam liyabasha, yeah? If you throw from the water to the dry land. So the water is a karmelis, and the yabasha is Rosh Hashanah. Min hayabasha liyam, min liyam the svina, and from the water to a boat. Min svina liyam, again a svina is Rosh Hashanah too. But the water is a karmelis, right? Min svina lechaverta potter, you are potter. Svinas kshura zubazu. If you have boats tied up to each other, metaltal and mizulazu, you can carry from one to the other. Ein and kshuras, if they're not tied to each other, avapishim lekavos, even though they're right next to each other, ein metaltal mizulazu. Meaning, so the tying of the boats is what makes it that you're allowed to carry from one to the other. Right? The Gemara will see whether this is talking about are these boats owned by one person or are they 2 peoples? Yeah. So Zog the Gemara itmar svina, a boat. Meaning, if let's say you want to fill up water from the side of the boat, so what do you have to do? So you put a little ziz, a little something that sticks out from it, a kol shehu, and then you could fill up the water. What you have to do is you have to build a square that's 4 tefachim wide, like a little square, and then you have to fill it up through that square. Okay. Well, now the Gemara will discuss how these work. He holds you have to just put out a little ziz and then you could fill it up. Because over karmelis me'ara mashchina, we measure the karmelis from the floor. Okay, pavira makom paturu, and the air between the water and the boat is a makom patur. Right. So since you're measuring from the ara, let's say your boat is in an ocean. Most oceans are at least 10 tefachim deep, 40 inches, right, from the bottom. So since you're measuring from the bottom, anything above the water, like we said, anything above 10 tefachim is a makom patur. So anything above the water is no problem, right? So you're only carrying water from a makom patur to a rishus hayachid, which we said is perfectly mutter, right? So, but then, okay, if that's the case, so why do you need that ziz? And really, the din should be that you don't need the ziz either. The only reason why you're doing it is that you should have a heker, right? Just to remind you that, by the way, this is only allowed because it's a makom patur, right? Rav Chisda, 1 second. Rav Chisda Rav Huna Amri Oisa Makam Arba Umamala. They hold you have to make a Makam Arba and fill it up from that. Kasavri, meaning they're basically saying you make a square out of wood, let's say. It doesn't say what you make it out of, but I'm assuming they made it out of wood. You make like this little square and you fill up the bucket from that square. Okay? Kasavri karmelis misfas maya mashchina. Because he holds the karmelis, you start calculating it from the edge of the water, not from the seabed, right? That's the way it would say, not from the seabed, from the edge of the water. Maya aras michta, and the water is considered like thick ground, meaning it's looked at as an extension of the ground. So if you don't make like this little eruv, basically what you're doing with this little square that you're building is you're making like this little eruv that you're able to take the water through that square onto the boat, right? Again, the reason why you're allowed to make the eruv because the water is a karmelis. Yeah, so that's the machlokes. So basically, the side of the machlokes is do we calculate from the seabed or do we calculate from the water? Okay, and according to Rav Huna, who says all you have to do is stick out a little piece of wood from the edge of the boat, and then you could fill up zimnin deleka asara. But sometimes who says that the boat is in water that's 10 tefachim deep? Maybe especially when it's closer to land, right? It's not 10 tefachim deep, and you become a taltim karmelis rishus hayachid, and you're carrying from a karmelis rishus hayachid. In which case, that little hecker that you're doing doesn't work. That hecker only works again because it's going from a makom patur to rishus hayachid. But if the water where the boat is docked is not 10 tefachim deep, then you're going to be carrying from a karmelis to rishus hayachid, which is awesome. We know that's an interesting lashon. We know gamninon usually is reserved for a term of halacha l'moshe misinai, right? But it just means that we know that a boat cannot go unless there's water that has at least 10 tefachim. V'hon marsha isla, right? But it has a mursha, meaning the hull of the boat raises up out of the water. So there, maybe that will be able to go higher, even if the water is less than 10 tefachim. No, you have people feeling around, right, at the front of the boat. They have these sticks where they push it down into the water, into the dirt, and then they're able to know whether it's going to be in 10 tefachim. So if it gets to less than 10 tefachim, then you'll be very aware of it. Yeah? Fine. So this is an interesting lashon here. This is an interesting question. So he's saying, according to those that say that you have to make the box, and you fill up the water from a box, so the dirty water that you want to get rid of off the ship, how do you get rid of it? Right? Meaning, why is this not a question on the Manda Omar that says you just put out a ziz? Because according to him, there's no problem putting the water. It's a makom patur, so there's no problem. You could do it anywhere on the boat, right? It's not an issue. But according to this Manda Omar that says you have to build a square, so that means you have to fill up the water through that square. That means whatever water you're getting rid of from the boat also has to go through that square, right? So we're asking, how are you doing this? He said, if you think that you're going to throw it in that same box, that's disgusting, right? That's disgusting. You're going to go take your dirty water, your sewer water, pour it through that thing, and then when you're going to want to fill up water to drink, you're going to go fill up the water right from that same spot, which I don't understand, because that means the boat is not moving. I mean, if the boat is moving, you pour the water through that box, right? And then you move a few more feet, and then the water is clear again. No, must be talking about where the boat is docked, I guess, right? Okay, I don't know. So, anyways, the shadilu adafna desfina.
They stopped for Shabbos, maybe.
Talking about what because you docked for Shabbos.
Yeah.
I hear. Okay, and then he's saying it's a Jewish boat, Jewish-owned boat. I hear. Okay. So then the Gemara answers the shadilu adafna desfina. You what you do is you pour the water on the wall of the boat, and then it rolls off the wall of the boat to the water. So therefore, it's what we call the classic case of groma, right? Meaning, so you didn't pour it directly into the water. You poured it on the wall of the boat. Then it went from the wall of the boat into the water. So then the Gemara says, what do you mean? That's, yes, granted it's a groma. So it didn't go directly into the water. But it was coming from your kayach. It is your kayach. Right? Granted, right? Rashi says that it's okay. You didn't throw it directly into the water, but it is still coming from your strength. Right? So the Gemara answers, Koichai be karmelis loy gazru. They were not geyser on koichai in a karmelis. Okay? Meaning, in a Rishus HaRabim, if you want to take your water and pour it, and it's going to eventually get out to Rishus HaRabim, then we do say, since it came from your koyach, it's a problem. But in a karmelis, we're going to say it's not a problem. Right? Not Tamra, and how do you know this? Right? How do we know that this is there's no koyach by karmelis? The Tanya Svina ein metalton loy mitoich layam, loy minayam l'soicha. You're not allowed to carry not from a boat to the water and not from the water to the boat. Now we're on to Amud Aleph. Kufav Amud Aleph. Yuda'imer amuka asara. If the boat is 10 deep, ve'ein gavoya asara, and it's not 10 high, then you are allowed to take it from the other water. But not from the water to it. Okay, this needs a little bit of explanation. Now, Yehuda says if it's 10 deep, right? So that meaning the boat itself is 10 deep, which is it has a depth of 40 inches. The boat, so then it's a considered shasayachid. The ein gavoya asara, but it's not 10 tefachim above the water because it's a heavy boat. And a lot of that 10 tefachim is sunk under the water, right? So since it's sunk under the water, it's not 10 tefachim above the water. So we're saying in that scenario, again, the boat has a depth of 10 tefachim. But when the boat goes into the water, you're not going to see 10 tefachim of wall because half the wall of the boat is not sunk under the water, but it's below the water, right? So in that case, you're allowed to go from the boat into the water, but you're not allowed to take from the water into the boat. Why is it that you're not allowed to carry from the water into the boat? Because you're carrying from a karmelis shusayachid. When you go from the boat to the water, that's also going from a shusayachid to karmelis. No, it must be talking about where you're putting it on the point of the boat. Right? Meaning you're pouring this water over the side of the boat. And obviously what it's telling us is that there's no such thing as koichai in a karmelis, and therefore that's when it's mutter. That's the case. Fine. Okay, so now we continue with boats. Amar Rav Huna, Hani Bitzasa Demishan. The Bitzasa Demishan is like these boats that don't go deep into the water. We just finished discussing a boat that goes deep into the water, not deep, meaning it gets sunken down into the water. This is more like a canoe, right? Mishan is the name of a place, right?
You have in the Everglades those boats with the big.
All right, right, yeah, very good, right. What do you call those boats? Airboats, right? Airboats. Yeah, very good. What's the other type of boat? Is it canoe, right? Yeah. Kayak also, maybe a kayak, something like that, right? It's very, very, it skims on the water. It doesn't go deep in.
Catamaran.
A catamaran. Woo, now that's if I wouldn't have read the sports section about the water, what do you call those? What's it called? You know, they have the ships race against each other. What was the name of that race? I don't remember. You guys, nobody knows?
What?
Yeah.
What?
Boat races.
The America's Cup?
America's Cup. Very good. Very good. Yeah, America's Cup. Yes, with the catamarans. That's the only reason I know that. Okay. Half the animals I know is from college football teams. So that's my education. Anyways, okay. Zahana Bitzasa Demishan, right? So these low, shallow boats, canoe, kayak, catamaran, or airboats, yeah? Ein metaltalin behen ela ba'arba. You are not allowed to carry in them only 4, right? Why? Because it's not a reshus to itself. Since it's so shallow, you can't call it reshus hayochid. It's something. It's as if you're in a. Well, it's not going to be a reshus harabim because it's in the water, but it's going to be. We're going to look at it like it's in a karmelis, right? Fine. So this requires a little bit of math here. It's only if within 3 of the water it doesn't have a width of 4. But if on the bottom right, boats go down to a point, right? So if when it's at some point before it gets to, again, and 3 is lower to the ground. So if the boat is made in a way that when before it's 3, within 3 of the water, it's already 4 wide, so then it's going to be considered its own reshus hayochid. Right? But if less than gimel, it's 4. Less lamba, then it's no issue. Right? Meaning, I think I just said it the wrong way. If it's within 3 of the floor, it goes wide, then it's going to be reshus hayochid. If it only starts turning wide after that, above 3, then it starts getting wide. Then it's not going to work, right? So basically, the bottom of the boat, if it's a very, very pointy bottom, and then it only starts broadening after 3 tfachim, then it's not going to be reshus hayochid. But if it broadens out like this, if it's more of a boat like that, then it's going to be reshus hayochid. Yeah. And even if it doesn't have that, but if you fill up the bottom with reeds and all sorts of junk, then to where it gets to Dalid, then it's going to also be okay. All right? As long as there's going to be 10 tfachim from where it gets to, as long as there's enough wall, meaning you fill up the bottom, it's a very sharp bottom, so you fill it up with all sorts of junk. So then we start measuring the 3 from further up, and therefore we're going to look at it like it does have the width of 4. Okay, Maskal Ram Nachman, Velema good achis mechitza. Now this gets into heavy duty erevin. That why don't we say good achis mechitza? That good achis is we look at a wall. If you have a wall like this, we look at it like it continues. Good asik says we look at the wall continues straight up, and good achis says we look at the wall as if it's straight down. It creates a mechitza. Okay, so we're saying why don't we say good achis mechitza? Meaning you have this boat. It has a wall, the boat. So granted, it's not 4 wide on the bottom of it, but it's 4 wide over here, right? Again, we're saying as long as it starts turning 4 wide above 3 tefachim from the ground, it's no good. Good. But Lamaisa, in the boat is 4 wide. Why don't we just look at the walls like they're straight down, and on the water, it's 4 by 4, at least 4, right? Good achis mechitza. Why don't we say good achis?
Good achis when you don't have a wall. Here you have the wall. It goes down and it invalidates.
No, but the wall. The problem is that it's not 4 wide within 3 tefachim of the ground.
Right. So the wall invalidates the wall. But good achis wouldn't apply because you have the wall to invalidate it.
No, but the wall. If you look at the wall like it goes straight down, then within 3 tefachim of the water, the wall. Then it is 4 tefachim within 3 tefachim of the water.
Right, but I'm saying when you don't have a wall.
You don't like
when you don't have a wall. Here you have the wall, so you can't move it to the side.
You're not moving it to the side. You're looking at the wall like it's straight down.
But you have the wall not straight down. Is what I'm saying. When you don't have a wall, you can look at it going straight down.
No, you need to have something, and then we look at the wall like it goes straight down.
He's saying Bishleim by Sukkah. So you have 7 tefachim of wall, and there's nothing under it. So you say good achis. Right. 7 tefachim will keep it going down.
Right.
Here, you have a wall that goes all the way down.
No,
it
you
goes
don't.
to the wrong place.
It goes
It
Right,
goes
but-
to the wrong place.
Who says you can't look here? Let's take this. Let's take this bowl here for a second. Yeah. So now this bowl goes on an angle, right?
Yeah.
So what the Gemara is asking is, since it goes by an angle, so let's say this is less than 4 tefachim wide. So this is considered not a private property because here's the water, right? So here's the water, and since it's not 4 tefachim wide, and then it's near the water, so therefore it's considered part of the karmelis, and you can't carry in it, right? So what he's saying is, but there's a wall right here. So why don't you just look at this wall that goes down?
We understand that. He understands
We understand that.
But
I'm just saying when you have
Mechitzi-
the other wall, maybe it invalidates it.
No, but here,
If the other wall
there is wall. So why can't you look at the wall that could go straight? It can go two ways. The wall can go down and sideways. I'm saying if you say the concept of good achis, what's the difference if part of the wall goes this way? What do I care?
Because the starting point is where you had no wall, like by Sukkah.
No, there is a wall.
We're saying that the wall continues. Here, the wall continues in the wrong direction. What Mechitzos, you could start asking now that we should have a second wall that's not there. You have a wall.
I hear.
That's
Okay,
what
but
he's asking.
It's like the pipe in the Michigan. It curves, no?
oh, you mean the Priya Chatichen? Yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't split into two.
See, what you're asking, I think maybe what you're asking is, do you look at the wall? This is very negaya to modern day Erevin. Do you look at this wall that it extends this way, like, because it's on an angle, right? Do you look at it like it extends down that way? Or do you look at it like it extends straight down? Right? Maybe
So
that's
the
what it's telling you.
machlekes in Sukkah.
Yeah.
That's taka machlekes.
Okay, so maybe that's what this has to do with. Maybe. Okay,
Mhm.
I don't know. I hear. Okay, the Ha'ara well noted Naftali, with a little support from Gershon. Okay. Okay, right. So Maskiv, where are we up to? Maskiv Rav Nachman, yeah, about 10 lines down. Maskiv Rav Nachman, v'leim good achis mechitza. Why don't we say the mechitza? We look like it goes straight down. Miloi Tani Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yuda Aimer. No, it's kana b'Rosh Hashanah. If somebody sticks a reed into Rosh Hashanah, b'Rosh Traskel, and at the top of that reed is a basket, and you go and you throw it into that basket, then you're going to be chayiv. Now, what's going on here? So you have a reed, which is clearly not going to be 4 tefachim wide. So it's not going to be its own reshus. But on the top of it, right, here's the reed, my finger is the reed, and then on the top of it, you have a basket. Assuming this basket is 4 tefachim wide. How come when you throw something into this basket, on Shabbos, you're chayiv? Why should you be chayiv? Right? Why is this any different than a boat? It's got to have the 4 tefachim all the way down on the ground. So it must be, because you say that the walls of this basket, we look at them like they go straight down, and it is 4 tefachim all the way down from the ground. Right? Yeah. So, Does it,
would that have,
say it here too?
would that have to be, I'm sorry, would that have to be on top, like mama sitting on top, or could it be like, in this case, we're talking about a basket, could it be attached to that pole on the side, like an old school, like they did in the hood back in the day where they would cut the bottom out of an egg crate to make a basketball hoop?
Right. Yeah, either one. I think either
Yeah,
one.
it's not just sitting on top of the
I think
bar.
anytime, right? No, I think Simon, you're right. Anytime you have anything that would have a wall to it, we look at the wall like it goes down. Yeah.
Okay.
That reminds me of the Meister of Chaim Kanievsky, right? They said they asked him if you're allowed to play basketball on Shabbos, right? So they said, he said, "What is basketball?" He says, "What you do is you take a ball and you throw it into a basket." So he says, "I don't understand. Why can't you throw it into the basket before Shabbos?" Right? So that's yeah. Yeah. When I once had a machlokes with some English guys in Eretz Yisrael over what's a better sport, soccer or basketball. So their big taina was, they were mechamed to the story. Their big taina was, at least in soccer, there's very little scoring. Or at least once you score, the ball stays in the net. In basketball, it's fast scoring, but you get to go through the basket, you're right back where you started. Right? Anyway, so that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about clearly a basketball where it stays in the basket. Yeah. So we're saying if you say it by a basket, why not say it by a boat, right? And then therefore we look at the walls of the boat that it goes down, and you should not be able to carry from the water to the boat. So Maskal Rabbi Yosef, V'lo Shmir Lahu Lahad Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav U'Matuba Mishum Rabbi Chia V'Tani Allah V'Chachavim Pajim. Did you not hear what Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Rav? And some say that it was Rabbi Chia, and they said Chachavim say Potter, right? So if the Chachavim say Potter by that basket, right? So then clearly they don't hold of good achis, and maybe that's who we hold like with the boat. Do you not hold of good achis? If you have a pillar in Rosh Hashanah, that's 10 tvachim high and 4 tvachim wide. But the base does not have dalid. And on the thinner part, it has 3. Right, again, it has a pillar that's 3 tvachim on the bottom. Then it expands to 4. And then you throw it on top of it, and you see your chayiv. So Amam Rina Gurachas Mechitzos. Hachanami Gurachas Mechitzos. So here too, also we're going to say Gurachas by the boat. So Gemara says, Midi area, can you say this Hasam Havile Mechitza Shagadi and Baikimba? There it's a mechitza that the goats can. We had this before with sukkah, with the wall, right? It's talking about where there's a mechitza that the goats can go under it, right? Yeah. So that's why the Chachamim say it's potter, because anything that a goat could go under does not have a din of a mechitza. I remember we discussed even by lavud, we discussed by a sukkah. If you want to build a wall of a sukkah, so you think, okay, I'll say good achis by the wall of a sukkah. I'll just build the wall, and then we have 10 tefachim under the wall. It doesn't make a difference because you look at the wall like it goes straight down. But by sukkah we say no, because if a goat can get under that wall, then it nullifies the whole wall. So here we're saying too, by this basket that's hanging, the Chachamim say it's potter because a goat can go right under it. But by the boat, a gedi obviously cannot jump under that, and therefore the Chachamim there would maybe say that you are chayiv. You could have fish. Granted, you can't have goats going under the boat, but you could have fish, right? So why should you be chayiv? This I don't understand. Rabban, when we learned this, we didn't understand this, right? We ever get a shot with this? No, right? So
No.
you think, okay, so fish, fish is not the same as goats. Right? How do you think the pshat is? No, Rashi says the reason why fish it's not called going under is because you can't see the fish. Since the fish is doing it underwater. So since the fish are doing this underwater, it should not eliminate the virtual wall that's going down. Again, we're saying when we have this good achis, which is a virtual wall that continues down, right? So we said, but if we only continue it down, if there's not enough room for a goat to climb under this wall, but if there's enough room for a goat to climb under, that's a problem. So what about fish? What you got there? Oh, the basket. Are you showing the basket? Yeah, very good. Right, so the goats can go right under there. So, but a boat, it cannot go under there. So we're saying, but a boat can have fish go under there. Very good, thank you. So the boat could have fish. We say, no, fish you can't see. So fish you can't see. So if you don't see it, doesn't exist. That's what it seems. What you can't see doesn't exist. Maybe this has to do with trying to bring this to the practical with the Rav Heinemann. I don't know if we said that. I just know Rav Heinemann says one of the reasons you're allowed to adjust the temperature of the oven on Yom Tov, even though you're pressing a button and there's something electric going on there. If it has a Sabbath mode oven, it says because you can't see it. So if you can't see it, it's not usher. So maybe here too. I don't know. Okay. Fine. Weiter. So Amalei Bekias Dogam.
Where is Rav Heinemann hold in the bugs with the Belsky over Shulman, Zolzangas and Rav Feifel?
I don't know what he holds. The bugs in the water. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it would be an interesting thing to find out. Okay. Well, Minot Taimra, and how do we know this? Yeah. What are we up to here? Minot Taimra. The Ba Minei Rabbi Tavla Mirabin Mechitza Tluya Ma'o Shetate Bechurva. Right. So how do we know this whole concept of the Gedim going under it? So he asked Rabbi Tavla Mirabin. He asked from Rabin Mechitza Tluya. If you have a hanging mechitza, will that allow you to carry in a churva? Now, basically, they had destructed. I don't know if anybody must probably around Eretz Yisrael. You've seen destruction. Buildings that are falling apart. Sometimes you have a wall that's hanging. It doesn't make it down to the ground. Like the bottom part of the wall got broken, but in the middle, it's just hanging. So, can you say that we look at that wall that it goes straight down, and therefore you want to carry on Shabbos inside this destruction? Can you, even though the wall does not make it down all the way to the floor? A mechitza tluya will not allow you to carry. We can look at it like it's a mechitza for certain things, but it will not allow you to carry. The only time we say this is by water. And it's a leniency that the Chacham said by water, right? Which is what we said by the boat, in order to fill the water up into the boat. Yeah. So you pick it up through this square that you create, which is basically like a good achis. But how can you say it by water? The fish are going under it the same way goats go under a wall. We say it's no good. So how do you say it by a boat? So must tell us that fish cutting under a virtual wall or a virtual extension of a wall. That's probably the right way to say it. A virtual extension of a wall is not considered bekia, and there's no problem. Fine. Sfinas kshuras, right? So boats that are tied to each other. Pshita, it's pashut. Why can't you carry from two boats if they're tied to each other, right? So the Gemara is thinking now that it's under one owner. So it's coming to be matter the how do you say bitzas? Like a rowboat, like a little boat in between the two boats, right? So we're saying if they're tied together, then you would be able to carry on that little boat in between. So I'm Rav Safra. Moshe Shaper Kamret. He calls him Moshe. Who's Moshe? That's what Rashi says. He called Rav Safra called Rava Moshe because of his chashivas. He said, like, you're the equivalent to Klal Yisrael, like as Moshe was. Right? Moshe Shaper Kamret. He's saying a good thing, but Taltal Mazul Zutanan. It says to carry from one to the other. It's interesting that he called him Moshe, and then he went to ask the question on him. Right? He says it doesn't say that you can carry. The Mishnah says you carry from one boat to the other boat. It doesn't say you can use a rowboat in the middle. Who said anything about that? So Rav Safra Ella la'arev u'l'talta mizulazu. No, it's talking about to make an eruv and to carry from one boat to the other, meaning the two boats belong to two different owners. So you want to make an eruv, so you can make an eruv if they're tied to each other. With Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, Sfinas, Kshuras, Zubazu, if you have boats that are tied one to the other, you can make an eruv and you can carry from one boat to the other. Nifsaku, but if the knot breaks and the boats are no longer attached, Nesru, they become Asr. Chazru v'niksharu, if they go back and get tied on Shabbos. Now, you're not allowed to tie on Shabbos. So how did they get tied? They must have gotten tied. Bein shoygin, bein mezidin, whether the person did it b'shoygin, whether they even did it on purpose. Bein anusin, whether they did it was beyond their control. Bein mutan, whether they made a mistake. Now, there's a lot of diyukim you can make in that, because mutan they made a mistake. Don't we look at it like shoygin? From here is mashma that a toys making a mistake in halacha is not shoygig, it's not mezid, it's not oinus. So what is it? It's a fourth category, right? But whatever it is, if the boat was tied before Shabbos, you can carry from one to the other. If it got untied, then you're no longer allowed to. Then what happens if it got tied again? So the Gemara is saying whether it got tied on purpose, by mistake, or something beyond your control, whether somebody paskined wrong and made a mistake, chazru la'atira rishon, it goes back to the original heter, which the Gemara is going to say now is a big chiddush, because if something became, you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos, then how can you, it became mutter on Shabbos, right? How would you be allowed to do it? V'chein machitzolos haprusos,
the fish tied it up.
What?
Fish tied it up.
Yeah, and a chanami, but the chiddush is that even though it became no good on Shabbos and it was fixed on Shabbos, still it's not a problem, right? V'chein machzalas aprusas, if you have hanging mats, right? Ma'arvin, meaning you've hung up these mats in Rosh Hashanah to sort of create like these little Rosh Hashanah in Rosh Hashanah. Ma'arvin and Matatan Mazu, you're allowed to make an Erev and carry from one to the other. Meaning each one's going to be looked at like its own little private property, like cubicles, right? You have cubicles, so now can you carry from one to the other? So you can, right? Niskal Nigalalu, but what happens if these mats get rolled up? Now there's no longer any Mechitzos. So how can you carry? So Nesru, then they become Aser. Chazru benifreshu, if they go back and they get spread out. Bein Shoygin, Bein Mezinin, Bein Anusin, Bein Mutan, Chazru Later and Arishan, they go back to their original heter. Shekol mechitza shenase b'Shabbos, this is the rule. Any mechitza that was made on Shabbos, Bein B'Shoygin, Bein B'Mezid, Shema mechitza, it's considered a mechitza. Okay, so that's why if the Erev goes down on Shabbos, you can get a guy to fix it, even though it wasn't a mechitza before Shabbos, or it went down on Shabbos, then you can still have somebody go fix it. Ain't it's not true. The Gemara says, this only tells you that you're allowed to throw, but to actually carry it's aser. Okay, so the Gemara says, no, so Rav Nachman was only saying his din on mezid that you can throw and not take, but on everything else it would be mutter. Yeah. Now what does it mean? We don't see anywhere that zrika and there's a nafkamina. There's a difference between throwing and carrying, right? So really, what it is just a code word for: is it potter al aser or yumam, or is it mamish aser? Okay. Itmar amashmuva filuk shuris bechut hasarvel, even if it's tied with a chut hasarvel, which just means a string from your clothing or something, meaning a very lousy knot. Meaning to tie two boats together has to be this big strong knot. So what Shmuel is saying, no, it doesn't have to be a big strong knot. Even it's a tiny little string that's that's holding two boats together, that's enough. Hey Chidami, what's the case? Either Yachalamidon Pshita, if it's able to hold the two boats and then it's Pashit. Why shouldn't it work? Who cares what the string is made out of? Then if you're not able to hold it, am I? So why should it work? All right. So what is this chiddush? Again, he's saying that he can do any minimum amount of string. So one is asking any minimum amount of string, it's mamadoshach. If it holds the two boats together, that they don't move away from each other, so then it's just as good as a strong string. And if it doesn't, so it's useless. Yeah. So so Lailam the Yochalamidon. No, really, it's talking about where it can hold the two boats. Shmuel lafugi when the nafsheikasi. Shmuel, when he said this din, is coming to exclude his own din that he learned. The Tanan, and this is again Tumantara, Kosher B'Davar Amamida. Let's say you tie something with something that could hold on, right? Let's say you take this boat and you're trying to tie the boat to anchor, right? And you tie it through a tent. And in that tent is a mace. Again, you got the boat over here, right? Then you have the place that you tie the string, right? When a boat goes to dock, so you tie the string around, I don't even know what it's called, right? So now that string, as it's going to the dock, is going through a tent, and in that tent is a mace. Now, is the whole boat now considered tamei because the wire or the rope became tamei, become tumas oil, and now there's a transfer over, right? So kosher b'davar amamida maybe la tuma. If it's a rope that's strong enough to hold the boat, then it's going to make it tamei. B'davar she'emamida ain't maybe la tuma. But if it's not it's not a rope that's going to really hold on to the ship, then it's not going to be tamei. That has to be actually tied with a metal chain. It can't just be tied with any sort of flimsy thing, right? Lenient tuma hu dichsiv. So we're saying why tuma? You need to have something metal dichsiv b'chalal chereb. It has to be a chalal is another term for dead. Chereb hareu k'chalal, right? It says a chereb. It's b'chalal chereb. Chereb means something metal is a sword. Chereb hareu k'chalal, and the chereb becomes like a chalal. right? In that's what we say it in our lenient Shabbos, but by Shabbos, since it's able to hold it, then even if it's the most flimsy type of string, that's not going to be a problem. Meaning, so Shmuel is saying, don't think that by Tumah I say that you need to hold the boat in order to make the whole boat Tumah. You need to be holding it with a metal chain, right? So therefore, on Shabbos, in order to make the boats considered like one, you'd also have to be holding it with a metal chain. No, by Tumah, we have this hekish that it has to be something metal, but by tying it on Shabbos, all we need is that it has to tie the boats together, and that can be made out of anything. Okay, we actually finished on time tonight. All right.
I posted to the link, Yaakov. It seems he says you have to filter the water.
It does all you have to filter the water, so that means you must hold.
I posted to the chat, yeah.
Oh, thank you. I saw that flash. So it must be he holds that you could see the things. But I think there wasn't ever a disagreement there.
I think he says that in there that even if you can't identify them as bugs, but you can see something, so then that counts.
Okay, that's also a little bit of a chiddush.
I mean, I read it for like 2 seconds. I don't.
Yeah, that's the really machlokes by the bugs was not whether they exist or not. It's about whether those types of particular bugs are also.
Because they were born in that whole thing.
Yeah, that whole thing, born in the water and all that.
It's the same as his shot on the fish, no? With the worms.
Yeah.
I remember I went to a shiur that he gave on that when the whole fish thing happened, and he said that if you don't eat fish, you're kamaran apikaris.
What do you mean? You don't have to eat the fish that have the worm issues.
No. Rabbi Belsky said that if you believe that it's usher to eat the fish with the worms, you're kamaran apikaris.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think he said that because you're not believing in Shulchan Aruch. Rabbi Aaron, you're muted.
Like the Piskei Tshuva says.
Right. That's where he's coming from. Yeah. All right. Fine.
Sorry.
Okay,
if you have a minute, whatever. Yes, no.
I'll try.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Sei gesund.
See ya.
Good night.
Yeah.